All right, so Gauteng Premier Makhura has given a response to the violent protests that have rocked the province. The death toll from the riots in Gauteng has increased to 19. The total number of people who have died in both Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal is 45. Our reporters are all across Johannesburg and in KwaZulu-Natal to see what the situation is like, and they join me now live. Let's start with our senior reporter, Aviwe Mtila, who's live to us from Vosloorus. Aviwe, thank you so much for making time. What are you seeing where you are?
Well, Clement, the situation is quite volatile here outside the Hani Mall. In fact, the tensions have been brewing for quite some time now as rubber bullets are essentially being fired this very moment by the police. You can see the sea of community members, well, the looters that have been looting this mall from early hours of the morning, which have been stopped now. There's been a large contingency of EMPD police as well as the SAPS and private security fending off the mall. But now it seems like the community is coming in full force, trying to make their way here. And about some 5 minutes ago, Clement, they actually breached what we'll call the line of defense here. Coming into here, there are cars that have been stoned. Even one of the police nyalas has 2 deflated tires and is actually just resting at this moment as the police try to contain the situation here. But the looters coming in big numbers, and essentially this is not the only area where you see around 1,000 of them out here in numbers, and the shooting still continuing this very moment. Even on the back of this Hani Mall itself, there are many others there, and there are cars that are parked there where they are looting from the back and taking in those looted goods into their vehicles behind them. The crowd that you see is the younger crowd, but the more mature crowd, the adults, essentially at the back there with their cars ready. It seems like a joint operation from the community or the looters at the stage, as the criminal elements still continue here at Vosloorus at the Hani Mall. Even Premier Makhura came, said that this situation needs to be remedied, but it looks like there are no quick remedies for the situation. As I pose it to the Premier, is this not a state of an emergency? He came short of saying it's just a situation that has made the economy and the Gauteng province in its entirety come to a standstill, but refuting that it's a state of emergency as we see the developments tension on the ground here.
Yeah, we are staying with those visuals, Aviwe. It looks like the police are being overwhelmed. What's your sense of their capacity, and how much damage has been done at that particular mall?
So this is the mall that I'm assuming that they're trying to only loot from the early hours of this morning. After looting the rest of the malls around Vosloorus, you see the shots that are being fired here. There's a large contingency of police, but at this stage, Clement, it seems like they're being overpowered. They're forceful that they'll still maintain the line of defense here, but from what we've seen, and the community members even breaching to such an extent that they came to the point that we were at this very moment some 5 minutes ago, it seems like the community will eventually overpower the police here if no reinforcements are brought in. There are no SANDF deployment as yet. We're not sure when that deployment will come, as we haven't heard that direction from Premier Makhura when he was here some 2 hours ago. But the situation is quite volatile, I must say. There have been over 150 arrests just at this mall alone, and these people that you see here will be taken behind where there's a truck that comes in from time and again and loads of people that are being arrested. But the community or the looters are standing fast. They're coming in here as they still want to ransack this particular mall. Yesterday we saw 5 such shopping centers ransacked around the Vosloorus area, and this one is especially targeted for today, Clement.
My goodness. So looks like some people are being arrested there. Did you notice any private security at that particular mall? And let's stay with those visuals, Aviwe, and maybe you can explain to us what is happening. Oh my goodness.
So this is one of the looters that was taken in by police. In fact, the private security that you're speaking of is the one handling the situation this very moment. So it's a deployment and essentially a joint effort. You see the people coming out there from the Boxer store, coming in from behind. Remember what we said about the entrances from behind. It seems that they've broken in from behind, coming in to access the Boxer store from behind. But it's a joint operation on the ground here with the Johannesburg, the Ekurhuleni Metro Police, the South African Police Service, as well as private security, as they try and apprehend some of the looters that have been looting the Vosloorus area over the last couple of days. It's essentially thousands that are out there, Clement. I'm not exaggerating the number that we saw outside there. It's not the only place that the looters or the community members are situated, but at the back as well, as we see this gentleman that's being arrested coming from the back entrance as well.
Yeah, this is the situation unfolding in Vosloorus. You can see there some people being arrested that were responsible for the looting in that particular mall. The police, as Aviwe is telling us, seemingly overwhelmed by the thousands of community members that, in fact, there was a bit of a standoff there where the crowd was approaching the police and they were firing rubber bullets, trying to chase them away from that mall. You can see the police nyala has been damaged there. That's part of the damage that's been inflicted by some of those community members. We see these visuals. We'll come back to Aviwe Mtila for the latest. It looks like there are a number of people that have been arrested. We heard earlier from the police minister that over 700 people have been arrested across the country. We've got another reporter, Khayelihle Khumalo, who's live to us from Meadowlands. We'll come back to those visuals in Vosloorus. Khaya, you are in Meadowlands. How's the situation your side?
Well, safe to say, Clement, that's where we are positioned. It is relatively calm, but it's a very interesting location where we are coming to you live from. So this is where about 10 people died in a stampede. So just a short while ago, the Premier of Gauteng, Makhura, had an opportunity of having a walkabout and assessing the damage, but also denouncing these looting incidents, but also acknowledging the challenges pertaining to socio-economic environment in the economic hub. But also he was flanked by his MEC for community safety, that's of course Faith Mazibuga. So she was also urging the tenants in these malls to make sure that they try to salvage as much as possible. But Clement, also the experience that you've had here in Soweto, it's been quite a very interesting situation. So now, since the members of the SANDF have been deployed, we've also seen the situation changing dramatically with some of the areas that were unattended, seeing the SANDF members coming on board. But also, it's quite interesting where we are, Clement, because just few meters away from where we are, there's Meadowlands police station, and right behind me there's Ndofaya Mall. So this is where this horrific incident happened, where 10 people lost their lives, and we also do understand that another person around this neighborhood also died.
And the Premier also earlier, Khaya, confirming about 19 people that have died in Gauteng. The Premier of KwaZulu-Natal confirmed that there are about, 26 people that died in KwaZulu-Natal. We heard the National Police Minister saying that the figure that they have and they have confirmed is at 10. Did the Minister, the Premier expand, Khayelihle, on the circumstances for the 9 people that have died? Are these people that died from the stampede?
Well, so far, Clement, the issue around the death toll, the officials are saying they're still consolidating that particular number, because obviously these are very sporadic incidents. So as they find the information that they try, that's when they try to collate, so that they put everything together. But so far, the Premier said in the province about 19 people have died, and of course denouncing that, saying a loss of life is concerning, and notwithstanding the fact that of course the economic impact of these protests, I mean really just echoing the sentiments of the president around the fears of food security, especially around some of these areas, because I mean as much as Soweto does have its own colourful character, there are some areas that are very economically depressed, so they do rely from these facilities to go and buy stuff. But today some of them, they've been stripped and really just lost just quite a number of commodities, so the impact is really going to be far-reaching.
Yeah. Is the Premier moving to other areas? Khayelihle, there have been calls for some form of political leadership on the ground. He was there with one of his MECs. Has he indicated whether he will be moving to other areas?
Well, so far, Clement, we do know that the Premier went to Ekurhuleni, where my colleague Aviwe is. So this was his second spot. And a lot of people are really just saying this is quite very important, especially because most of the leaders, they've been using, virtual means of communication. So they're really applauding this particular step from the side of the Premier. But there was a very important concession that he did make around policing, where he said in some instances they were quite reactive as opposed to them being proactive in dealing with the incidents of looting. But also calling on the communities to rise up, saying it's important to make sure that these facilities like this one are protected, because they really do have a pivotal role to play. Yeah. And Gauteng is a very central player when it comes to South Africa's economy.
Absolutely. Khayelihle Khumalo, thank you so much. The consequences of what we're seeing are going to be dire for people that used to own those businesses and the people that they used to employ. Let me take you to Alexandra now, where we find our reporter Masego Rahlaga. Masego, you were showing us some extraordinary visuals earlier this morning. How are things looking now?
Clement, the police have basically retreated here in Alexandra. That's why you see me looking around to make sure that Teddy and I are safe, because we can't necessarily just be at one point and not look around in an area like Alexandra. We all know what's happened to those media colleagues that were in Alexandra, for instance, on Sunday. But basically, Teddy and I will just go a little bit closer to show you what's happening. So the looting is still carrying on. The looting is still continuing here in Alexandra, Clement. That same store, I don't know how much exactly is in that store, that Freedom supermarket, but people are still doing as they please in terms of taking products in there, mostly food, of course. They've been sharing the products that are in there. I actually thought at some point that there is no way they'll still find anything in there, but they have actually been looting it since we arrived here at around 6:30 with Teddy. Obviously, it means that they had started about last night. I think we spoke to, when we spoke to one of the owners of these shops that were looted and then burnt, they told us that in fact they don't know what happened, because when they left last night, everything was normal. And you'll forgive me, Clement, my attention is split, because there are some community members who are, for instance, warning us on where to go and where not to go in terms of those who might be a danger to the media. But police not here at the moment, Clement. The conversation that we heard from them earlier before they left at around past 11 to 12, they told us that they were out of rounds. At some point they were even asking me, Sisi, do you know where the soldiers are? We need reinforcement in Alexandra. There's too many of these people and too little of us. So, that's the issue that we find ourselves in Alexandra, where the police officers were overwhelmed. They were outnumbered, to be honest. And I don't know if they'll even come back. They are parked a little bit far beyond, down the road with the police ngalas, but they have not come back here since they left around 2 hours or more ago. So, Clement, that's the situation here in Alexandra. You see, people are still taking grocery items out of this store here in the corner. You're finding, even mothers, young children. We've seen young children helping their mothers take food back home. So I don't know why they are spread across here or in this area here, and I just want to find out. But here are more products here at the corner. My colleague Teddy will show you. Here are more products that the looters have been able to take. So I'm not quite sure why it's so full this side, Clement. Earlier on we did see the crowd dispersed to some extent. I thought that it was because police were here, but in fact they are not. So it's basically looting all over again, Clement. As you can see, these products that they are taking out of these stores on the side of the road. There's no regard for COVID-19 regulations, as you can see for yourself. Very few of them are wearing masks. Very few of them are social distancing. And as I told you, of course, it's even more difficult because of the fact that schools are closed. A lot of the kids also are here. A lot of young people are here, and that's, I think, is what worries quite a few people who've been watching our reports since last week Friday, Clement.
Yeah, Masego, you and Teddy are doing an incredible job there, and please let us know when you are unable to continue and you want to move. Just let me know. It's extraordinary what I'm looking at now. So you've got people that are really still coming out of some of the shops there at the mall. It looks like there's still some grocery stuff, right, that they are still getting from the shops that have been looted. Is there any other shop that's been spared there? What about the shops that are on the other side of the mall? Or is it that mall particularly that was only affected?
Well, Clement, in terms of Alexandra, because it's such a small area with so many people, there's not really many places where you'd find something like this. So this basically is sort of, I could call it the CBD of Alexandra. Yeah. It's the business district of Alexandra. It's around Pan-African Mall. And my colleague Teddy and I can take a walk with you to show you what's happening at the Pan-African Mall in terms of the looting that's happened there. I mean, Clement, we saw earlier on, for instance, there was quite a lot of smoke. At some point, Teddy and I were asking each other where exactly the smoke was coming from, because it was coming from so many of the stores here, and it still lingers. I don't know if Teddy will be able to show you, because, of course, where the sun is will determine how good the shot will be. But there's still smoke lingering, and Clement, that's the concern from emergency services. They've been saying that firefighters and themselves want to come in. Some people were actually shot with the rubber bullets and they were bleeding, but police were telling us that the paramedics themselves spoke to us that it's difficult to get into Alexandra. It's a volatile situation. We are not able to do our jobs because the people basically do not want to let us in. So they haven't been able to really put out the fire. So since we arrived here this morning at 6:30, it's been burning. So here is the Pan-African Mall, and I think I was telling Annika this morning, Clement, that the interesting thing, or the ironic thing with this mall, is that it was a mall that was in fact launched by President Jacob Zuma when he was still serving as the president of the country. The former president was here to launch the mall. He told the people of Alexandra that this mall was built for them, to alleviate poverty in the area, to ensure that they have places where they can look for employment or work close to home. He told them the youth would be employed here. Many promises in terms of the economy of Alexandra that this mall was supposed to come in and assist with. And today, the same person that they say they're fighting to get out of prison is actually here. In fact, let me ask one of them, Clement, because I think we're all aware now that this is not about Mputi unjani. Ngiyaphila. Ungitshele ndaba kusase indaba emana no Zuma vele.
No, I don't think it's indaba yolandela no Zuma. This one is just a theft. You can see all of the guys, they're just entering, stealing the things. It's not like they're busy with the Zuma issues.
Yeah.
No Zuma issues on this matter. You can see all around.
Are you from here in Alexandra?
Yes, I'm from Alexandra.
So, Manja, how do you feel looking at this? Where are you going to buy your bread? Where are you going to buy your oil? these people that were actually selling for you guys, it's going to take them very long to be able to get back to normal.
Yes, it's going to take long. And for now, the damage is already done, if you can check all over. You can check even the ATMs. Where are we going to withdraw the money? They are still busy there by ATMs, still doing a lot of damage. I don't think we'll have a place to buy the things. I just hope if we can protect Mall of Africa.
All right. There's some commotion, Clement. We're going to climb for you. Thank you, Puti. Thank you so much. As you can see, people are running. They're scattered all over the place. I'm not sure why. I assume it's because police are probably approaching. So it's not really safe for us to go right in. So Teddy's just going to try and zoom in for you. But as you can see, people are scattered everywhere, still carrying those things that they have looted. They're not letting go of that. Some of them have actually even stolen the trolleys from the stores that they looted in the mall to go steal from the shops outside. Those are definitely rubber bullets, Clement. Police are here, definitely they're back. So people are scattering all over the place. And the worry, I'm seeing a woman who's carrying a young, small baby on her back. And of course, when this happens, there's a lot of chaos. So they're running everywhere, but they still have their groceries in their hands, Clement. These groceries that they've stolen, they are not letting go of those. So as soon as I see exactly where the police are coming from, we'll be able to give you that shot, Clement. But definitely it's coming from the direction that we're showing you, where people are running. Some of them actually, Clement, while police shoot the rubber bullets and the stun grenades, they actually hide inside these stores. So they hide inside the stores, and that's how most of them have been getting arrested throughout the course of the day, because the police have realized that some of them hide inside the stores. And those who hide inside the stores, Clement, sadly enough, are mostly the females. And then when they are arrested, it's quite sad, because you see them start to beg, please, I need to take this milk and this back to my child. I was doing it for my child. I need to go back home. So the military is here. The military is here, Clement. This is why the people are running. We're going to get you those shots. We're going to go in there and get you those shots, Clement. If you could, if you could just give Teddy and I a moment. Yeah. Of course, we'll be bumping into a lot of people, but the soldiers are finally in Alexandra, and you're seeing it first on eNCA, Clement. The soldiers are finally arriving in Alexandra. So there's live ammunition. So Teddy and I have to be very careful as we approach the soldiers, because they have no patience, Clement. They are not as patient as police officers. So we're going to show you those shots. There are the soldiers. The South African National Defence Force has finally arrived in Alexandra. They are not trained with things such as rubber bullets and stun grenades, Clement. The soldiers don't deal with things like that. But finally here on eNCA, the South African National Defence Force has finally arrived in Alexandra to help the police. Yeah. The police had to retreat, Clement, because they had run out of live ammunition. So now that the soldiers are here, there's definitely going to be people who don't try and return. Earlier on, they were actually sort of teasing the police officers to say, we're coming back to carry on looting until the soldiers have arrived. So the soldiers have arrived, and we're yet to see what these community members are going to do now.
Yeah, Masego, I'm going to give you a couple of seconds there to catch your breath. Thank you to you and Teddy. You're doing an incredible job running and giving us these visuals live to us from Alexandra in Johannesburg.
I just want to show you, I'm sorry to do this. So the soldiers it was a full bus. So this bus is full of soldiers to deal with the situation in Alexandra. So I don't think they are going to take anything anymore. I think they're tired of what's been happening throughout the course of the day here. I'm sorry to talk while you were talking. Back to you, Clement.
No worries, Masego. The soldiers' deployment in Alexandra is important. We started seeing them being deployed in Pietermaritzburg, And there are a lot of questions that were asked this morning when the security cluster ministers were briefing the media around their deployment in other parts of the country. Already the concern is 2,500 is not enough. And I can already see the difference, the contrast, Masego, the visuals you showed us about 2 minutes ago, that area that was congested, and now when the soldiers arrived, it really looks pretty empty. So that's just a sign of how people are scared